For the past couple of years, I've been using this Alesis Strike Multipad to trigger backing tracks and samples live with my band Church Mums. Here's why and how. It all started when we recorded our self-titled EP. We got to our song Kool-Aid and I was frankly unhappy with my playing on the song. The tempo was all over the place and it didn't feel right. The parts that I had come up with just didn't really mesh with what I had in my head. It probably could have been saved if I had played along with a click track, and to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again, I'm going to make sure that I do that on all recordings from now on. The singing and playing from my bandmates though was really good, and I was desperate to save what they had done. So rather than scrapping the entire song just because of a crappy drum part, I decided to fix it. I did this by fixing the tempo using the time stretch in Logic. I programmed some drums, made it real dancey, and I added in some additional synth parts. I was really happy with the work that I had done, and my bandmates were really happy with it as well. Once we had finalized the track and it was ready for release, I had this sinking feeling that we wouldn't be able to reproduce those sounds live. There's only three of us. We've got a guitarist slash bass player and a synth player and me playing drums. So I had to figure out what I was going to do. The options were, don't worry about it, play the acoustic drum part or play the programmed drum part on my acoustic kit, or I could export the whole thing as a backing track and save it on a laptop and plug that into the PA when we play live. Or I could get a new toy and learn how to use it. I did a lot of research about which multipad I should buy. And I think ultimately it came down to the Alesis Strike multipad and the Roland SPD-SX. There were a couple of other options that kind of like the multipad from Wish, but ultimately I decided to go with the Strike multipad just because of the power, the built-in sounds, the onboard storage. Those were all things that appealed to me. This is not intended to be a review of this pad or a comparison to the Roland SPD-SX. This is just really an overview of where I was at when I was buying the thing. One of the first things I did when I got the pad was to build an 808 style drum kit. And you can pause here to read a very quick overview from Wikipedia about the 808 drum kit. I love those electronic sounds, and being able to play around with them with a pair of drumsticks is a real joy. I've always had access to those sounds in my computer, but being able to have them live with me is good fun. Then once I had figured out how to build a drum kit on here, it was time to start importing other things like backing tracks and my own sounds. There's a really simple process to import a WAV file to a pad, but it can be a bit time consuming. It's something I make sure I do well in advance of any gig that's coming up. So I make sure I do it at home beforehand because I don't want to put any extra pressure when I'm getting ready for a show. Something else that I make sure I do is when I've got my backing track saved to a USB, I just make sure I put the tempo of the track in the title of the file so that I don't have to go back and forth between my computer and the pad. And I'm not always in front of my computer when I'm playing around with the pad. Then once I've got the sound assigned to the pad that I want it to be on, I can build the rest of the kit. And so in the case of Kool-Aid, it's really just focused around an open hi-hat sound and a snare sound. I use my acoustic kick, so I don't have to bring any additional pedals or anything to make this thing work. So really the main sounds that I'll use on the multipad live are the backing track and the hi-hat sound and the snare sound. And then once I've got the whole kit built, I make sure that I set the tempo on here so that I get a click in my ears. And what's really cool about the Alesis Strike multipad is that you get a different sound from the headphone out to the main out. The main out will give you just the backing track and the drum sounds that you're hitting on the pad. And the headphone out will give you all of that plus a metronome in your ears. So you can make sure that you're playing along to the track and your band in time. I'll trigger the Kool-Aid backing track by hitting pad number 9. This is the sound that goes out to the mixing desk, and the audio engineer at a gig would have control over this. Now if I turn up the headphones volume and I turn down the main mix, this is the sound that I hear. This sound comes into my headphones, it's got the click along with it, helps me to make sure that I'm playing along in time with the track and the band. If I turn on the main mix again and take out the headphones, this is the clean main mix. And this is my mix with the click. I found that putting my backing track on one of these top 3 pads has been the best thing to do. It keeps it out of the way and it decreases the chances that I'm gonna mistakenly stop the sound while it's playing or re-trigger the sound. Both things, if they were to happen live, would be a bit of a disaster halfway through a song. So I'll make sure that I put the backing tracks up here. Something I like about having the pad alongside my acoustic kit is that if the mood takes me, I can do a live remix of whatever song we're playing. So for a song like Kool-Aid, which is largely an electronic sound, I can start playing my acoustic kit and cymbals and really give it a big heavy halftime breakdown, and it just adds a different flavor, and it's nice to do something different than what's on the recording. I really enjoyed using the Strike Multipad. It's added a new facet to Church Mum's live shows, and I like having a few extra options in terms of sounds when we're playing live. I hope this overview has given you an idea of how you might like to incorporate a sample pad into your live setup. And if you've got any questions or ideas about how you could use this thing, let me know in the comments. Now, go play some drums.